Get your glasses on because you can't see me. And here's exactly why Americans can't stand the media anymore. Fired CBS journalist Scott Pelley is proving himself to be pompous, self-important leftist hack after giving a dramatic post-firing interview to the New York Times, where he actually compared changes being made to 60 Minutes to a spouse being murdered. Watch.
What was the feeling about that particular opening salvo to the team?
She, I am told, said something to the effect of, why do you think the country thinks you're biased? But she didn't offer any kind of a metric.
I can hear how much this has hurt you.
Yes, it's like your spouse being murdered.
Sure, his wife loved that analogy. Jesse, speaking of firing, I'll go to you first because you, like me, I think we have a lot of job experiences at different times in our life. He said there was no metric. The Kamala Harris interview, that alone was a fireable offense. His interview on what he did with ICE in Minnesota, when they gave him specific directions on what they were asking him to be down the middle, fireable offense. Then you walk in the meeting with your new boss and you tell him, you're murdering 60 Minutes. You don't know what you're doing. You have no experience. You, sir, are terrible. And he just kept going on and on. You can't do, I don't care who, you can't do that at Arby's.
No, you can't do that anywhere. And what metric? 28% of the country trusts the press. It is at an all-time low. All of the donations from journalists go to Democrats. They showered Crooked and Biden with cash. And it's like my spouse being murdered? Mrs. Pelley.
Yeah.
Talk about a guy married to his job. I mean, you are not his true love. He is in love with 60 Minutes, and that's fine. But that is sad. And now we know what his second act is. Broadway. Give Scotty a Tony. Crying. The only time a man should cry, when your kid does something really special.
Yep.
When you win a championship.
Absolutely.
And when you see a Budweiser commercial.
Yes, those damn.
But the guy, hey, listen, he was a war correspondent. I get it. No one's ever going to take that away from him. That's very gutsy. But he's like, you know what? I've been shot at. Trump has actually been shot. The bullet hit him. And he popped back up and said, fight, fight, fight for the country.
You know, he came off as an elitist and very virtue signaling because he said every time between crying spells in the interview, it's not about me, it's them. If somebody you work with that you respected got fired, you don't want them, Emily, bringing you into it. Like, it's like, hey, leave me out, man. Not my fault you got canned. He's not really a journalist. I think that's what, he used to be one, but the elitist virtue signaling was shocking.
The performance, the Broadway that we saw, the drama, I feel I was trying to be a little measured in my analysis of this because I don't know what it would be like to be, I don't know, what is he, an octogenarian? Whatever, 70-something, and have clearly his identity so wrapped up. But I will say this, the reason that I keep all of my bar memberships is because if this dream that I am living every day ends tomorrow, I will have a backup plan to put food on my table. And when I think about the show at noon, it's not my show. It is the owner of this network show. And when I think about the stars here, that the star is Fox. So my point is that I am well aware every day that this is an incredible experience and dream that we are living. And it is an honor to serve as a messenger for even one other American person, let alone myself. So I would never presume to expect that I will stay here, to expect that I deserve to stay here forever, and to certainly go on an interview and equate a termination. By the way, we are all at-will employees, so also look at a legal tome, and act like it can't all end. Like, have some appreciation and have some perspective, because people in this city are actually dying every day on the subway and in the wars that he's covered. So somewhere along the line, I feel like he got lost in some type of upscale Upper East Side shop and just forgot that his one role is actually reporting the news.
Dana, it ends for us all someday.
Yes, it will. It's true. When I was a little kid, I was afraid to go outside on Sundays to play because I was afraid I'd miss 60 Minutes. I loved it that much. My dad would set the alarm on the stove so that I could make sure that I didn't miss it. And then Fast forward in my life in 2004, CBS News, 60 Minutes, tried to take down George W. Bush with forged documents. And where was the introspection there? There never was. In fact, they still maintain.
She's not letting it go.
I'm not going to let it go. I will never forget. But also since then, Eliana Johnson said this earlier today on Commentary Magazine podcast, that when they make news in the last several years, it's only because when they're shown to be biased. Yep. And one of them was the example of they go to Germany to talk about free speech protections and the censorship, if you remember. Also, do you remember Leslie Stahl interviewing the hostage? And she asked about, is it because the hostage takers didn't have any food? Do you remember? That's when 60 Minutes has been making news. The other thing is, he said in the interview that he had never heard of Bari Weiss. Oh, really? Because she's been in the news, like in a big way, as a part of the New York Times for many years. And so it's your job to know. It's our job to know who she is. And so I think that 60 Minutes will probably survive. It'll look different, and that will be fine.
I don't know. Whenever I heard that 60 Minutes, Harold, that meant bedtime for me, so I hated that sound.
Gutfeld said it meant
Take
school.
us home, Harold.
It meant school tomorrow.
I agree with Dana. I grew up that way also. And then I'm a little older than Dana, but I love the show. It was as impactful and important a show at its height. I remember Jim Vandehei, the head of Axios, who's an old friend, gave a speech at the press club in D.C., and it was around a time when the press was felt under assault. And he gave a speech saying, we need to respond to this not by being angry, not by personalizing this, but by figuring out how we can do better. Because if we believe this estate is as important as it is, then we have to respond constructively to some of the criticism. I think Mr. Pelley, I give people grace. He's been there a long time, and he clearly feels bad about what happened. But that's not the way to save that program. That's not the way. But if he believes that journalism is under assault, if he believes Ms. Weiss is a part of it, this is not the way to do it. Making it about him and not making it about the viewers and the integrity of one of the greatest news shows, I believe, in the last 50 years.
And that is 60 Minutes. The Fastest is up next.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.